What a day. So we heard the verdicts of guilty, we heard some of the victim impact statements, and you heard the judge sentence this man to life. Imran, I'll start with you. Yeah, those victim impact statements were heartbreaking, and they were very difficult to listen to. You just have to imagine, well, not only their loss, but how these two people lost their lives. There's no words for it.
Yeah, no, I mean those were very compelling victim impact statement because you have to remember that the victim's family are making that statement, but it's also the family of the defendant because you have this horrible case of parricide, which is the homicide of one's parents. So it's going to send shockwaves, as you see, through the whole family, and they're talking about how grandchildren will have to live with the facts of this brutal case for many years. We live in a day and age and the internet where things are easily accessible by just a click of a button. So you can imagine that these younger family members will have to really live with the fact that you could Google the last name and you'll have all these horrific facts before you. So it's really going to be something that this family is going to have to grapple with, a real tragedy for the rest of their lives.
Now, Hunter, what we did here is that a sentencing date is set for November 19th. There's a pre sentencing report. And the question really becomes what could be of his life? Yes, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 51 years until 51 years. And then the question, of course, is could the rest of the sentences be consecutive or concurrent? What do you expect between now and November 19th?
I don't think much is going to change. I think the horrific set of facts here will lead to one conclusion. We're going to see consecutive life sentences. No one wants this man to ever see the light of day. I don't see what could come out that would convince a judge to make to not make these consecutive, meaning one on top of the other. So even if he's 81 years old, um, he doesn't have that opportunity for parole. He doesn't deserve it. I don't believe the court will hear anything to change that outcome.
And Hunter, I'll give you the last word. We have about a minute left. The death penalty was taken off the table. This is something that the defendant wanted. He wrote a letter to the judge saying if he were to be found guilty, he wanted to be put to death. That was not on the table for him. At the end of the day, that outcome, which is worse for him? And you have to think about that. So your reaction to not getting the ultimate sentence, but that he will spend the rest of his life in prison.
He wanted death because that's the easy way out, plain and simple. He knew he was guilty. He knew the outcome of this case. He would rather have death than sit in that jail cell for the next 50, 60,
Yep.
70 years without any chance of parole. It's the coward's way out. He wanted it. He was a coward for the crime. He's now a coward at the end.
And yet he showed no emotion when all those people were speaking about the people that he took away. Just absolutely horrible. Hunter, appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for coming on. Imran, I know you're going to be sticking around. I am going to be signing off, but you're in great hands. Brian Buckmeyer is taking over.